Dear Mum, I've scrounged a few minutes to drop you these lines about our advance into Syria. Haifa was our jumping-off place. This strategic town is certainly one of the most modern in the Middle East, a terminal of the oil pipeline from Iraq. There was no checking of our gear as we passed through the customs into Syria. There was no need to. It spoke for itself. We were glad to be moving into action, although a little melancholy at the prospect of fighting troops of a former ally, misled as they were. Our column was given the task of thrusting along the coastal road towards Sidon. The road's a real beaut, ideal for military transport, although open to the sea practically all the way. The Navy was there, moving north to support our attack. The girl of immense strategic importance for more than 2,000 years. It once linked the cities of the Euphrates with the southern cities of the Nile. War material and machines passed us in a never-ending stream. Oh, how we envied those lucky cows in the mechanized unit. From high up, we got our first view of the AIF's Syrian headquarters, a neat little village, nestling among olive groves, so typical of the country. We soon reached the Latani River. Fed by the melting snows of the Lebanon ranges, it irrigates the surrounding country, and here we bivouacked. Near our camp, the local farmers carried on in their everyday pursuits, unmoved by the stirring events going on around them. To me, life here seemed little changed to what I'd read of the biblical days. Camels are still the main method of transport, and there's an unhurried air about everything. Gum trees. Yes, dinky-die gum trees. Took many of us back to Aussie. By the way, when I get back, I think I'll take up bee farming. There's nothing to it. But we weren't given much of a break. A dispatch rider tore in one day and we knew it was on again for us. Our forward artillery was getting ready to lay down a barrage, to serve it out hot and fast. A spotter in a forward observation post sighted an enemy tank, and the boys were on the target in next to no time. The gunners are nifty shots. I'm glad they were on our side. The artillery often cleared the way for us, but usually we had to move ahead very cautiously in taking an outpost. One of us always went ahead to give the all-clear signal, and then the others followed in fairly open order. Hidden snipers were always on the job. And boy, they often made us duck. The Vichy troops dug themselves in well at all points, often holding fire to point-blank range. But this only made our fellows all the more determined to finish off the job, despite the danger of surprise attack. We were the first to enter a big fortified post on the outskirts of Sidon. It was an all-Australian success. Here again, snipers made life as unpleasant as possible for the boys, and we had to move round carefully. We took plenty of booty, tanks and hundreds of anti-tank shells. These latter were ammunition for guns, exceptionally well concealed, which kept the main road under continuous fire. We used an enemy tractor to pull one out from his hiding place. The Vichy men used several of these guns, which only well-placed mortar bombs had much chance of putting out of action. The fall of this fort laid the way open to our first big objective, Sidon. Our armored cars and Bren carriers raced ahead to occupy this ancient city, which dates back to the days of the Venetians. Sidon was the first big feather in our cap, and the people and gendarmes turned out to do the honors. The French cops were inspected by one of our Provosts officers and told to carry on. Then our GOC, Lieutenant General Sir Henry Maitland Wilson, came along to formally take possession of the town, the troops standing on their best military salute to welcome him. The formalities were really marked by an air of informality. The townspeople were not dismayed at the change in their management. Indeed, from what we could see, most of them were relieved. Another Australian column, supported by British, Free French, and Indian troops, had struck towards the capital, Damascus. I heard from one of the lads that after some stiff fighting, they cut a way through. Then the Bren carriers and tanks pressed their advantage home. The town, with its 250,000 population, is one of the oldest in the world and has a fascinating history. I remember Dad telling me how, as one of Allenby's light horse, he was in at the capture of this town from the Turks in 1918. Do you remember, Mum? Anyway, when our boys took it this time, they were given a great reception from the mixed crowd, which included Kurds, Kalmucks, Circassians, Turkomen, besides the Syrians. They were highly excited, and gendarmes had a tough job keeping them from mobbing the boys. I believe the inhabitants are not over particular as to who rules them, as long as they're allowed to carry on as usual. Then came two famous French generals, Catroux and Legentilhomme. Catroux crossed over to our side just before the opening of the campaign, making a daring escape with several of his troopers. A few of the troops, given leave to inspect the city, could hardly move for admirers and would-be sellers, worse than racetrack urgers. Some of us were left in Sidon as a garrison, while others pressed on to Beirut, the fall of which would mean the end of the campaign. Sidon ranks with Tyre as one of the oldest seaport towns in the world. It was a center of commerce in the days when the Phoenicians were the maritime power of the then-known world. I explored all quarters of the town, and it was like turning back a page of history. Resting in the dust of centuries, it seems happy to let the world pass by. Well, Mother, it's fall capped a great adventure for me. I'll let you know about the next soon. So keep smiling. We'll win through. You can bet on us.